Hey everybody, welcome back to Sip and Talk. I'm Joe. And as always, I'm ready to dive into some seriously juicy info with you all today. It's like we're mixing up a knowledge cocktail here. Strong stuff, but oh, so smooth going down.
And I'm Sunny, your friendly neighborhood fact checker. I'll make sure we get all the ingredients right. Speaking of mixing things up, you know it's always a good blend? Travel whiskey and discovering awesome new things. You have to check out our friend Micky's YouTube channel, Mickytolife.
Yeah, Mickey's the best. He's always got something cool going on.
Ready to unpack some seriously cool ideas.
Oh, absolutely. And this one, it all started with something you guys sent in.
Yeah, that story about the farmer, the pig, and those apples.
Right. On the surface, it seems super simple. But trust me, this thing gets deep.
Like, whoa, deep. We're talking time, efficiency, maybe even the very nature of reality kind of deep.
I mean, how often does a story about a pig make you question the fabric of the universe?
Not often enough, honestly.
So for this deep dive, you sent us a whole bunch of stuff, which is amazing.
You've got different perspectives on that farmer and pig story, plus some really interesting essays on time perception, value.
Oh, and why we seem to freak out way more about losing $10 than, like, an hour of our lives.
Exactly, which, let's be honest, time is way more valuable.
So today, we're going to get into all that, unpack those layers, see what kind of wisdom we can find in this story.
And maybe, just maybe, give you a few aha moments that stick with you long after we're done.
Sounds good. All right, let's jump right in. So picture this. A farmer is out there in his field, feeding his pigs.
One apple at a time.
Yeah, one by one. Seems pretty normal, right?
Totally. Old school farming. No big deal.
But then this passerby comes along, probably in a hurry.
Yeah.
Got to get somewhere.
And they see the farmer like, what are you doing, dude? You're wasting so much time.
And they suggest, hey, why not just shake the tree? All those apples fall down at once. Boom, you're done.
Efficiency. Yeah.
Exactly. Get those pigs fed faster.
But here's where things get interesting. The farmer, he responds with this. What does a pig have to do with time?
Mic drop moment, right.
Totally. It completely flips the script. You think you're giving this helpful advice, and the farmer's just like, nah, man, different perspective over here.
And it really throws you for a loop, right? Because the passerby, they're coming from that very modern mindset.
Always got to be hustling, got to be efficient, time is money, all that jazz.
But the farmer,
yeah,
he might be seeing things totally differently.
Like maybe time isn't something you need to constantly be saving up on the farm.
Maybe the pig is perfectly content getting its apple one at a time.
Enjoying the experience, you know?
It's like, who are we to say that our way of thinking about time, this super scheduled every second counts thing, is the only way?
Or even the right way in this situation.
Right. Like, does our human perception of time even apply in this context?
It really makes you think.
It does. And some of the stuff you sent us, it actually digs into this idea of tool rationality versus purpose rationality.
Which are big words for a pretty simple idea.
Yeah, basically tool rationality is all about finding that most efficient way to get something done.
Like, what's the best tool for this job?
So, shaking the tree, that's the best tool to feed a lot of pigs quickly.
Maximum efficiency, that's the goal.
But the farmer, maybe he's operating with what they call purpose rationality.
Which is less about the how and more about the why.
So, for him, it's not just about getting the pigs fed. It's about the act of feeding them individually.
It's that interaction, that routine, that might be what's actually important.
It really makes you think about your own life, doesn't it?
Totally. Are we so caught up in being efficient that we're missing the point sometimes?
Like, are we rushing through things just to check them off the list?
When we could be savoring the experience.
Think about it. How often do you just inhale your food because you got to rush off to the next thing?
Or speed through a beautiful park just to get to the other side?
We miss so much when we're only focused on getting things done fast.
Right. And this story also highlights something else really interesting. It's about our human-centric perspective.
Like, we tend to look at everything through our own human lens.
And judge things based on human ideas of what's good or efficient.
And the passerby, they're totally doing that right.
Assuming that the farmer should value time the same way they do.
But the farmer, he might actually be considering the pig's experience.
Like, what does a pig care about efficiency?
Probably not much. They just want to eat their apples.
Exactly. So it makes you wonder, should we even be applying our human obsession with speed and productivity to animals?
Right. What's good for a pig isn't necessarily what's most convenient for us.
And that opens up this whole other discussion about animal ethics and how we treat other living beings.
Like, are we imposing our own values on them?
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the power of habit.
Oh, yeah. Habits are a big part of this story.
The farmer has probably been feeding his pigs this way for years. It's his routine.
It's how he does things.
And the passerby coming in from the outside, they immediately judge that routine based on their own assumptions.
Right. Like, this is the right way to do it.
Without considering the context or the farmer's reasons.
Which makes you think about your own habits, doesn't it?
It does. Are the things we do every day actually the best way to do them?
Or are we just stuck in routines because that's what we've always done?
And is someone else's suggestion always better just because it's different?
Right. And this isn't just about farm life. Think about your job, your family, even societal norms.
Are we sometimes clinging to routines that aren't really serving us anymore?
Totally. And then, of course, we can't talk about efficiency without talking about technology.
Right. Technology is all about making things faster, easier, more efficient.
From instant messaging to self-driving cars, it's all about saving time.
But then you have this farmer with his very intentional, slower approach.
It's like he's resisting that constant push for speed.
And it makes you wonder, are we losing something important in our pursuit of efficiency?
Like, are we sacrificing those little moments of connection, of being present, just to get things done faster?
Right. Are we trading quality for speed?
And that's the beauty of this story, isn't it?
It's got so many layers.
It makes you think about finding the right balance. Efficiency versus quality, what truly matters in a given situation.
And respecting different ways of life.
Like, the farmer's laziness might actually be a form of wisdom.
While the passerby represents our modern obsession with time as this limited resource we got to squeeze for all it's worth.
It really makes you ask yourself, who has the better perspective in this situation?
The farmer or the passerby?
It's a tough question. But here's where it gets even trippier. Okay?
Buckle up.
Because some of the stuff you sent us suggests that this story might be hinting at something even deeper.
Something about the very nature of time and space.
Especially from the pig's point of view.
Right. Like, think about it. The pig is totally focused on the immediate experience.
Getting that delicious apple, nom, nom, nom.
In that moment, is time even a relevant concept for the pig?
It's just apple. Now.
No past, no future, just pure present moment. Apple enjoyment.
It's almost like a philosophical point, isn't it?
Totally. It reminds me of some of those ideas in existentialism or Eastern philosophies.
Where time is seen as subjective.
Maybe even an illusion created by our minds.
So from that perspective, the farmer isn't wasting time.
He's actually meeting the pig in its reality.
A reality where time isn't this linear thing that's constantly ticking away.
It's about being present in the moment.
And if you think about the physical interaction too, it's interesting.
Yeah, the farmer isn't just throwing apples at the pig.
Often he's physically engaging with it, maybe even lifting it up to reach an apple.
It's this very direct, personal way of interacting with space.
Instead of just trying to optimize the space, shake the tree, apples fall everywhere.
He's relating to it in this one-on-one, almost intimate way.
And it's like space, just like time, might not be this fixed, objective thing we all agree on.
But something that's shaped by how we interact with it.
By our perception, our needs, our way of experiencing the world.
Exactly. And the farmer's actions, in a way, they seem to go beyond our usual human understanding of these limitations.
Like he's not bound by the clock or the need to maximize efficiency.
There's this sense of freedom in his deliberate, unhurried actions.
So the big question is, could time and space be less about some external clock ticking away?
And more about our own perception.
Our own needs, our own way of experiencing the world around us.
Now, that's a powerful question to ponder.
It is. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about something else you guys brought up that I think is fascinating.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Why are we so much more careful with how we spend our money than how we spend our time?
It's a good question. And one that I think a lot of us can relate to.
Totally. Like, you'll see people spending hours looking for the best deal online.
Clipping coupons to save a few cents?
But then they'll happily waste hours scrolling through social media without a second thought.
It doesn't seem to make sense.
It doesn't. So what's the deal?
Well, the sources you sent point to some pretty key differences between how we think about time and money.
Let's hear them.
Okay, first off, money is tangible. You can see it, you can hold it, you can count it.
And when you spend it, you see your bank account go down.
Exactly. It's concrete. Time, on the other hand, is abstract.
It vanishes.
And we don't have a little counter that's showing us exactly how much time we've used up in the same way we see our money decrease.
Right. You get that immediate feedback when your wallet feels lighter.
but time just slips away without that same kind of warning.
And money, it's got this clear value.
Yeah, like you know what $1 can buy.
But an hour, its value feels so much more personal and subjective.
Exactly. One person might use that hour to earn $100. Another might spend it relaxing in the park.
So the value of an hour isn't fixed like the value of $1.
It's all about how you choose to use it.
Which is kind of cool, actually.
Right.
But also makes it harder to track, I guess.
Totally. And our culture and upbringing also play a big part in how we think about these things.
Oh, for sure.
Like we're taught from a young age to save money, to be careful with it.
Don't waste your money.
Right. But how many of us had serious lessons on how to manage our time effectively?
Not many, I bet.
It's more about don't spend all your money at once rather than don't waste your incredibly limited and precious time.
Right. And think about social pressures, too.
Oh, yeah, they're huge.
Like, we compare what we buy, we read reviews before making a purchase.
We're constantly bombarded with messages about how we should spend our money.
But how often do we really scrutinize how we spend our time?
Not nearly as much. It's a much more private thing, less open to outside judgment.
Makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
Nobody's giving you a bad rating online for spending an afternoon just chilling out.
No Yelp reviews for that.
Exactly. And then there's the psychological stuff at play.
Oh, yeah, the psychology of this is fascinating.
And loss aversion.
That's a big one. The pain of losing money feels way stronger than the pleasure of gaining the same amount.
It's like losing $10 hurts way more than finding $10 feels good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But losing an hour, it doesn't have that same immediate sting.
Yeah, you don't get that same sinking feeling when you realize you just spent an hour looking at memes online as you do when you accidentally get charged twice for something.
Right. Our brains just seem to be wired to react more strongly to losing money than losing time.
And we're also wired for instant gratification, right?
Oh, totally. We want that immediate reward, that dopamine hit.
So scrolling through social media gives us that quick fix.
But investing time in something that'll benefit us in the long run.
Like learning a new skill, exercising.
That requires delaying gratification, which is hard.
It is. Like that classic experiment with the marshmallows. Give a kid a marshmallow now, or wait and get 2 marshmallows later.
Most kids go for the instant marshmallow.
Same. But when you really boil it down, money and time, they're fundamentally different things.
Absolutely.
You can save money for the future. Time, nope.
Once it's gone, it's gone.
And while money can potentially grow through investments, the value you create with your time learning, building relationships, improving yourself, it's less direct.
Harder to measure in dollars and cents.
And let's be real, the way our society is set up, it doesn't help much.
Oh, yeah, our whole economic system is built around money.
Capitalism, for all its good and bad, it really emphasizes monetary value.
Our worth is often tied to our jobs, our income, what we own.
Time is important, sure, but it's not usually the main way we measure success in our world.
And the consumer world, it actively encourages us to be careful with our money.
Oh yeah, all those financial tools, the marketing, the constant messages about saving and spending wisely.
Right. But there aren't really the same forces pushing us to manage our time effectively.
Like nobody's sending you an alert that says, hey, you've spent way too much time today procrastinating.
Right. So it all adds up. We treat money more carefully because it's concrete, its value is clear, there are stronger social and psychological pressures around it, and you can actually save it up.
Time. Even though it's arguably our most precious resource, it feels abstract, limited.
And we're just way more casual about letting it slip away.
Which brings us back to our farmer.
Full circle.
His seemingly chill attitude toward time when feeding the pigs.
It might actually reflect a different way of valuing things.
One that prioritizes the present moment, the connection, over that constant push for efficiency.
Like he's living in that pig-centric world where time isn't the boss.
Exactly. Okay, ready for the really mind-bending part?
Oh, yeah, bring it on.
Because some of the stuff you shared actually questions whether time and space are even real in the way we experience them.
The big existential questions. I love it.
Are we living in some kind of evolved illusion?
A matrix situation.
Kind of. And the answer, it depends on who you ask.
For sure.
From a scientific perspective, physics treats time and space as fundamental.
Like space-time and relativity, that's the foundation of our universe.
Right, it's like the stage where everything happens.
Exactly. But when you start looking at how we actually perceive time and space, things get a little fuzzy.
Okay, how so?
Well, some theories suggest that our experience of time and space might have been shaped by evolution, you know?
Like it's not necessarily how things actually are.
but more like how our brains learned to make sense of the world in a way that helped us survive.
So it's less about objective reality and more about what kept us from becoming dinner for some saber-toothed tiger.
Exactly, like being able to judge distances accurately, space perception, that's crucial for navigating and finding food, and being able to anticipate future events, that's our perception of time kicking in that helps us plan and avoid danger.
So it's like a built-in survival system.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the ultimate truth about what time and space really are.
Right. And then you have the philosophical perspective.
Oh yeah, the philosophers always got to jump in with their mind-blowing ideas.
They do, and some thinkers, like Kant, argued that time and space aren't actually out there in the world as independent things.
Okay.
But rather, they're fundamental categories of our minds, ways that our brains organize all the sensory information we take in.
So it's not that time and space don't exist, it's just that our experience of them is shaped by how our minds work.
Exactly. It's like our brains are structuring our experience of reality in terms of time and space.
So we have the scientists saying it's a real external thing, and the philosophers saying it's more about how our minds are structured.
And then, to make things even more trippy.
It gets trippier.
Oh yeah. Different animals experience time at completely different speeds based on their metabolism.
Whoa, hold up. Explain that one.
So, for example, a fly, because of its super fast metabolism, might perceive time much slower than we do.
So a fly is basically living in a slow-motion movie.
Kind of. Which means that our perception of time isn't some universal constant.
It's relative to our biology.
Exactly. And some cutting-edge theories in quantum gravity suggest that space-time itself...
Space-time.
Yeah, that whole fabric of the universe thing. Some theories suggest that it might not even be fundamental.
Oh.
It might emerge from more basic underlying elements.
So, like, the stage itself is a construct.
Potentially. It really makes you question everything.
It does. Okay, so we've got flies living in slow motion, and maybe space-time isn't even real.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, think about those moments when you're in danger. Time seems to slow down, right?
Oh, yeah. Like, everything gets super sharp and clear,
Yeah.
and you have more time to react.
Exactly. That could be an evolutionary mechanism kicking in, giving you more perceived time to make a decision.
So it's not that time actually slows down, it's just our perception that shifts.
That's one theory. And our perception of space is just as vital for survival.
Right, navigating, exploring, understanding where threats are coming from.
All of that relies on how our brains perceive space.
So back to those animal time perceptions for a second. We talked about the fly. What about other animals?
Well, the sources mention that smaller animals with faster metabolisms often perceive time more quickly. So like a hummingbird, for example.
Zipping around at warp speed.
Exactly. On the other hand, something like a starfish with a very slow metabolism might experience time passing at a glacial pace.
Wow, a starfish must have a very different relationship with time than we do.
Right. And there's even a theory that aquatic predators might perceive time faster than land predators.
Why is that?
Maybe because the fluid environment requires quicker reactions to movement. It's like everything's happening in a faster, more fluid space.
It's amazing to think that something we take for granted, like time, is experienced so differently by other life forms.
It really highlights that ongoing debate in science and philosophy.
Right. Are time and space out there objectively real? Or are they primarily the way our brains have evolved to make sense of the world?
And it gets even more complicated when you factor in cultural differences.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned linear versus cyclical views of time earlier.
Right. Some cultures see time as a straight line from past to present to future. Others view it as more cyclical, with repeating patterns and events.
Which is super interesting. Like maybe those different frameworks reflect different survival strategies or ways of relating to the environment.
Exactly. So while physics gives us this framework of space-time as a real thing, our lived experience of it...
It's way more nuanced.
It is. It might be this complex, survival-driven construction, a cognitive framework that's incredibly useful, but...
Maybe not the whole story.
Maybe not. Which brings us right back to our farmer and his unconventional relationship with time.
He's not just feeding pigs, he's transcending space-time.
Maybe. But seriously, it makes you wonder if he's operating on a different level of perception than the efficiency-obsessed passerby.
Like he's tapped into something deeper about the nature of reality.
It's a possibility.
Well, this has definitely been a deep dive.
No kidding. We started with a simple story about a farmer and a pig.
And ended up questioning the very fabric of the universe.
That's how we roll.
So to recap, we've seen how that seemingly simple story opens up all these huge questions about our values, our relationship with time.
And even the possibility that our experience of time and space isn't as straightforward as we think.
And our tendency to be way more protective of our money than our time. That's a whole mix of psychology, culture, and how we perceive these fundamental resources.
Absolutely. It's all connected.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on. If time and space might actually be, at least in part, creations of our minds to help us survive.
Mind blown.
How could that change how you see your everyday life, your priorities, your connection to the present moment?
Big questions.
Maybe, just maybe, like that farmer, there are times when we can choose a different rhythm, a different way of interacting with the clock and the space around us.
A different relationship with reality itself.
Whoa! Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
It's been a pleasure as always.
We'd love to hear your thoughts, your reactions, any other questions these ideas spark for you. Keep those curiosity gears turning.
Until next time.
I just want to give another shout out to Micky from Mickytolife. His channel is a treasure trove of inspiration, and he's a huge Sip&Talk fan.
Absolutely. Make sure to check him out and maybe even share your awesome podcast intro with him once you've created it.